Come on, come on, come on.
25 minutes before 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. It is 49 degrees here at the Source, WOCA, broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall, just outside the WOCA commissary. It is time for News Bites. News Bites is the portion of AM Ocala Live during which Robin McBlain and I read the news. We shorten it so it gives you a chance to catch up on the news. We'll also tell you the news agency we're getting the story from so that you can look up the story online and read the details for yourself. The first one comes from ABC News. It is finally done. 13 years after the Twin Towers were destroyed on September 11th, 2001, the new centerpiece skyscraper at the World Trade Center opens this morning. The path to this day was anything but easy or clear. Battles began almost as soon as the debris was hauled away in 2002, and since then there have been fights over cost, design, security, and even the structure's name. But still, the tower, a technological marvel sitting on piles driven more than 100 feet below the Hudson River, rose steadily out of the northwest corner of the World Trade Center site. Today, the storied Condé Nast magazine empire, with titles like Vogue, GQ, and Vanity Fair, moves in with 2,300 employees spread among 24 floors. In so many ways, this day marks the final piece of the rebirth and renewal of a lower Manhattan devastated when two hijacked planes slammed into the Twin Towers that bright morning. On September 11th, 2011, the 911 Memorial opened. 6 months ago, the 911 Museum opened. Both were built to commemorate what was lost. One World Trade is a monument to the future. The official name is One World Trade Center. The unofficial name, of course, the Freedom Tower.
At least 45 people were killed and 55 more injured in a Lahore, Pakistan suicide blast near the country's border with India. This is according to police and hospital officials when they gave their report yesterday. A suicide bomber detonated his vest after a daily parade at the Woca border crossing. Inspector General Mushtaq Ahmad Sukera of the Punjab Police is quoted as saying, "It appeared the bomber entered the parade area as people were leaving and set off an explosive vest near a checkpoint." Footage from CNN affiliate GEO News showed authorities scrambling through the streets, some of them ferrying the injured on stretchers to ambulances. Many onlookers were crying as they spoke to reporters, reported by CNN.
From Newsmax, the idea that there is significant man-made global warming is a whole lot of baloney. That, according to Weather Channel co-founder John Coleman, insisting his case on CNN's Reliable Sources program yesterday morning. He said, quote, "The government only gives money to scientists who will present their hypothesis." Coleman made that statement on the show. He is a meteorologist who helped found the Weather Channel 32 years ago. He went on to say, quote, "They don't have any choice. If you are going to get the money, you have to present their position. Those are the ones the government pays for. That doesn't make it right. That only means it's bought and paid for," unquote. But Coleman, who debunked climate change in a letter to UCLA last month, told show host Brian Stelter yesterday that he resented him introducing him as a climate change denier. He said, "That is a word meant to put me down. I'm a skeptic about climate change, and I want to make it darned clear that Weather Channel CEO David Kenny is not a scientist. I am." He also told Stelter that CNN, like the Weather Channel, has come to a consensus on global warming. "There is no consensus in science," said Coleman. "Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts. If you get down to the hard, cold facts, climate change is not happening. There is no significant man-made global warming now." Interesting article, and again, I did get that from Newsmax.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel would rather see the UK exit from the European Union than compromise over the principle of free movement of workers. Mrs. Merkel is alleged to fear that the UK is approaching a point of no return. Downing Street would not comment on the reports from German magazine Der Spiegel. Mr. Cameron wants to renegotiate the terms of the UK's continued membership before holding an in-out referendum. The Prime Minister said that freedom of movement would be at the very heart of my renegotiation strategy for Europe, but Mrs. Merkel has said by the magazine that made clear she will withdraw her support for the UK's continued EU membership if he continues to push for migration reform, reported by the BBC.
From the Associated Press, Brittany Maynard stuck by her decision. The terminally ill woman who revived a national debate about physician-assisted suicide ended her life Saturday by swallowing lethal drugs made available under an Oregon law allowing terminally ill people to choose when to die. She would have been 30 years old on November 19th. Maynard had been in the spotlight for about a month since publicizing that she and her husband, Dan Diaz, moved to Portland from Northern California so that she could take advantage of the Oregon law. She told journalists she planned to die November 1st, shortly after her husband's birthday, but reserved the right to move the date forward or push it back. Maynard ended her suffering from brain cancer right on schedule after hinting at a possible delay in a video released last week. She died as she intended, peacefully in her bedroom in the arms of her loved ones, is a statement issued by Sean Crowley, a spokesman for the advocacy group Compassion and Choices.
One of the newest rides at Walt Disney World in Florida was the scene of a fire on Saturday night. The blaze broke out around 10 p.m. at the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. That came right after the Magic Kingdom's Wishes nighttime spectacular fireworks show. Reedy Creek firefighters ashes from the fireworks fell on the ride. According to Disney officials, guests were immediately evacuated, the flames were quickly extinguished, and no one was injured. The Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which opened in May, was running again after midnight, reported from Lake Buena Vista in Florida.
And from the Associated Press, on the eve of an election that will decide the Senate majority, it's time for closing arguments and an all-out effort to motivate people to vote. Republicans have claimed new momentum in midterm campaigns that have centered on President Barack Obama, who is not on Tuesday's ballot, of course. Under the weight of the unpopular president, Democrats are fighting to distance themselves from the White House and convince voters they deserve to maintain the Senate majority for the final 2 years of Obama's presidency. The Republicans are sounding confident that it will take the Senate control. Obama has avoided the nation's most competitive contests in recent weeks, but encouraged Democrats to reject Republican cynicism during campaign stops in Connecticut and Pennsylvania for Democrats in governor's races. He was scheduled to spend today in private meetings with his economic team and Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen.
An Arizona woman is searching for her wedding ring after she says she accidentally gave it away with Halloween candy. KNXV television is reporting that Mesa resident Brooklyn Yazzie says she mistakenly handed out the ring Friday during a mix-up. Yazzie says she placed her wedding ring in a candy jar while helping her daughters carve pumpkins, and when the night became hectic, she absentmindedly dumped the contents of the jar into the candy bag. She says there were also plastic rings inside the candy bag. Yazzie says she is hoping someone has the ring because it isn't worth much money, but it has more value to her, reported by the Associated Press.
And from Time.com, at least 24 people have died after a boat carrying migrants believed to be from Afghanistan and Syria sank this morning in the Bosphorus Strait. The Turkish Coast Guard said 24 bodies have been recovered and 7 people rescued from where the Straits meets the Black Sea. Rescue crews are searching for other passengers by air and by sea. This year, hundreds of thousands of migrants have tried to reach the European Union, making dangerous journeys across land and sea. The BBC reports that the refugees may have been trying to reach Romania, a member state of the European Union. We need to take a little break so that we can catch up on the weather forecast as well as a couple of commercial breaks, and then we'll be back with News Bites. Right now, by the way, speaking of the weather, it is currently 49 degrees here at the Source, WOCA WOCA, broadcasting live from the Paddock Mall, just outside the food court, more affectionately known as the WOCA Commissary.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunny to partly cloudy today and pleasant this afternoon. High 71 to 75. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows ranging from the 50s inland to about 64 on the coast. Tomorrow, sunshine, some clouds, and becoming warmer. There may be a shower in spots along the coast. The high tomorrow, 77 to 81. For Wednesday, more sun than clouds. There can be a spotty morning shower along the coast. The high, 80 to 84. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Each morning, we wake up thankful to live in a free nation with liberty and justice for all. But sometimes those liberties can be put in jeopardy, and you may have questions about what to do or who to call. Let Doc Blanchard of Blanchard, Miriam, Adele, and Kirkland help you find the answers. Attorneys at law since 1974 and located in downtown Ocala. If you have legal issues, don't go it alone. Call 352-732-7218. Blanchard, Miriam, Adele, and Kirkland, helping protect your liberties every day.
Your home is safe, or is it? AA Lock, Dock, and Security. The name has been a staple in Ocala since 1985. Do you have the right equipment in place to have peace of mind when you are at home or away? AA Lock, Dock, and Security has the right people to install and monitor your home or business. Call today for a free on-site security analysis. Call 867-1965. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, 219 Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
Dad's service to our country is something we're all proud of. He made a difference and set a great example. Now it's our turn to honor the sacrifices he made for our family and his country. As Veterans Funeral Specialist, Hires Baxley Funeral Services helped us celebrate Dad's life, and they can help you too. Hires Baxley is here for you during your time of need or when planning for the future. For more information, call 352-484-0891 or visit hires-baxley.com/choice.
Now is the time to take advantage of Florida Credit Union's CD specials. Our 36-month CD comes in at 1.26% APY. A 24-month is working for you at 1.0% APY. And our 12-month at 0.75% APY. All CD rate specials require $10,000 minimum. With friendly service and rates like these, it's not hard to see why Florida Credit Union has your CD options covered. Florida Credit Union, connecting your money to your life. Call 352-237-8222 for more information. Must act by 1/15/14.
You've got a garden and we've got a show for you called You've Got a Garden with your host, Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. Carol Ann answers your questions about your flowers, your veggies, your grass, your trees, even questions about your bugs. And she's only on WOCA, so don't miss Carol Ann Baldwin and You've Got a Garden each Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. right here on WOCA The Source.
You're listening to WOCA, Ocala.
All right, 12 minutes before 9 o'clock, let's return to News Bites. The next story is from the Associated Press. French security chiefs are investigating a spate of mysterious and illegal overflights of French nuclear power stations by tiny, unmanned drones. A government official told the Associated Press that authorities have counted about 15 drone flights over a half dozen nuclear sites since October 1st. Authorities insist France's nuclear facilities are designed to handle seismic and security risks, including those possibly posed by drones. Environment Minister Sergolini Royal told various media yesterday that investigators have no leads about who is behind the flights. Officials are keeping quiet about their response. Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve told RTL Radio this morning that the best way to be effective in this area is not to say what we're doing. France gets more than 2/3 of electricity from nuclear power, the highest proportion in the world.
Shepherds guided a flock of 2,000 sheep through Madrid's streets yesterday in defense of ancient grazing, droving, and migration rights increasingly threatened by urban sprawl and modern agricultural practices. Tourists and city dwellers were surprised to see the capital's traffic cut to permit the bleating, bell-clanking parade to pass the city's most emblematic locations. Shepherds halted at the Old Town Hall so the chief herdsman could hand authorities 25 maravedis, their copper coins first minted in the 11th century as payment for the crossing. They then continued past Puerta del Sol, Madrid's equivalent of New York's Times Square, and past the Bank of Spain headquarters on their way to Retiro Park. Children shrieked with joy as the sheep went from a trot to a gallop past a hamburger restaurant and luxury jewelry store in the city's toniest downtown quarter. Since medieval times, shepherds have had the right to use droving paths crisscrossing a landscape that was once a checkerboard of woodland and grazing space. The herd was accompanied by musicians and dancers dressed in regional costumes that have been worn by rural workers for centuries, reported by the Associated Press.
And also from the Associated Press, police have made multiple arrests in connection with the Halloween hit-and-run deaths of 3 teenage girls who were out trick-or-treating in Los Angeles, in a suburb of Los Angeles, according to a statement issued yesterday. Santa Ana police say officers made the arrests yesterday morning. They declined to provide additional details ahead of a news conference scheduled for today. Authorities say 13-year-old twin sisters and a 13-year-old friend were struck and killed Friday night in a Santa Ana crosswalk after they went out trick-or-treating. A damaged black Honda SUV was found a short distance from where the collision occurred. A witness told the Los Angeles Times the girls were wearing costumes with black leggings and dark clothing when they were hit in a crosswalk near an elementary school about 6:45 p.m. Friday.
Warren Buffett said a decade ago he's sworn off putting money in airline stocks since his $358 million mistake in U.S. Airways Group. Investors in Asian carriers would do well to heed his advice. 6 of the 10 initial public offerings by airlines in Asia during the past 5 years are trading below their sale prices. The 10 airlines have fallen an average 12% from their offer levels as the region's publicly traded carriers racked up a combined $1.8 billion in losses last year. Asia's airlines have failed to capitalize on a surge in passenger numbers as the start of a dozen new carriers in the past decade has pushed the industry toward overcapacity and made it unprofitable. Today, investors will get one more chance to test the region's appetite for airline stocks as Bangkok Airways starts trading in the Thai capital after a $494 million IPO, reported by Bloomberg.
And from Fox News, Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican presidential nominee, says members of his party will pass immigration legislation when they gain seats in Congress tomorrow. You're going to see a provision, first of all, to secure the border, Romney predicted on Fox News Sunday. Second of all, to deal with those who come here illegally. And third, to make sure our immigration policies are more open and transparent. You're going to see a bill actually reach the desk of the president if we finally have someone besides Harry Reid sitting in the Senate. Romney admitted, quote, "I can't tell you whether we're going to win the Senate on Tuesday, but I can tell you we're going to pick up a lot of seats." He said tomorrow's midterm elections are vital to make a statement to President Obama as he enters his last 2 years in office. This is really the last chance for America to pass judgment on the Obama administration and on its policies.
Order is being restored to the courthouse in St. George with the removal of dozens of bats from the building. The Brazilian free-tailed bats were discovered when employees arrived for work Thursday at the 5th Judicial District Courthouse in St. George, Utah. More than 50 bats were removed Thursday and Friday from the attic and other areas of the building. This is according to Eric Palmer of Southwest Exterminators. Zach Viland, a Washington County deputy prosecutor, said he heard scratching noises when he walked into court Friday morning. Bats were in the ceiling, hallways, stairwells, and even inside courtrooms. Court officials said while the bats caused minimal disruptions in court operations, some proceedings had to be moved from one courtroom to another. Suspected entry points opened up during a recent renovation project that were sealed to keep bats out of the building, reported by the Associated Press.
And from CNN, swirling winds and heavy downpours probably did more than the massive Israeli police presence to dampen Palestinian protests in Jerusalem over the weekend. Dire predictions that a third Intifada war Intifada, was about to erupt after the brief closure of the Temple Mount, known to Arabs as the Noble Sanctuary, came to nothing, but the weather could not sweep away the toxic atmosphere in the city. Tension in Jerusalem is perhaps at its greatest since the end of the Second Intifada, or Palestinian uprising 10 years ago, stoked by a rash of what some call hate crimes and others acts of terror. Regular, almost daily outbreaks of stone throwing by Palestinian teenagers are answered by tear gas and rubber bullets. Hundreds of minors have already had their first taste of jail. The city's mayor, describing the violence as intolerance, has announced that surveillance balloons equipped with high-definition cameras will be deployed above troublesome neighborhoods to prevent disturbances. The Israeli cabinet is considering legislation that would introduce prison terms of up to 20 years for throwing stones.
Veteran advisors to Hillary Clinton say that she should not accelerate her early 2015 timetable for announcing whether she'll run for president, despite calls from prominent backers of President Barack Obama for her to enter the race soon after tomorrow's congressional elections. In interviews and email exchanges, 6 political operatives closely aligned with Clinton offered up overlapping lists of reasons why they do not expect her to jump in this year. She's more popular when she's not directly engaged in electoral politics. She's better off waiting for things to settle out after what's expected to be an ugly election night for Democrats. And Clinton benefits from staying out of the fray while Republican hopefuls start to tear each other apart. Moreover, these advisors note Hillary Clinton said at an event in Mexico City in September that she'll decide probably after January the 1st, 2015, reported by Bloomberg.
And from the Associated Press, hotels don't want guests to have to linger at the front desk or even stop by at all. New programs are helping speed up the check-in process for busy travelers, or in at least one case, letting them go straight to their rooms by using their smartphones to unlock doors. The innovations are still being tweaked as hotels scramble to catch up to airlines. Flyers today use their phones to check in, select seats, and as a boarding pass. Hotels envision a similar relationship, with guests ultimately ordering poolside drinks via an app on their phone. Starwood Hotels and Resorts this morning became the first chain to let guests unlock their doors with their phones. The feature is available at only 10 Aloft, Element, and W hotels, but will expand to 140 more properties in those brands by the middle of next year.
Police in Ferguson, Missouri are asking the U.S. government to restrict 37 square miles of airspace above the city, primarily to stop media helicopters from recording TV news footage during a week of rioting in August. On August 12th, the morning after the Federal Aviation Administration imposed the first flight restriction, air traffic managers struggled to redefine the temporary flight restriction in order to allow police aircraft and commercial flights to operate at the nearby Lambert St. Louis Airport. They finally admitted it really was to keep the media out, said one FAA manager about the St. Louis County Police request. In a series of recorded telephone conversations obtained by the Associated Press after a Freedom of Information request. But they were a little concerned of, obviously, anything else that could be going on, reported by The Guardian.
And from the Associated Press, the Islamic State jihadist group has in recent days executed more than 200 members of an Iraqi tribe that fought against it, according to officials and a tribal leader in a statement issued yesterday. Accounts varied as to the exact period in which the Sunni Abu Nimr tribesmen were killed in various areas of Iraq's Anbar province, but the executions were all said to have been carried out within the last 10 days. Police Colonel Shaban al-Obeidi told the American Free Press that there were more than 200 people killed, while Faleh al-Esawi, the deputy head of the Anwar Provincial Council, put his toll at 258 people.
The cost of fighting climate change will only climb if industrialized nations do not take steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The United Nations panel on the matter warned yesterday in its wrap-up report. In its report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change said that the hundreds of authors involved in the study were even more certain than before that the planet is warming and humans are the cause. If left unchecked, climate change will increase the likelihood of severe, pervasive, and irreversible impacts for people and ecosystems, reported by CNN.
And finally, this is from the Associated Press, I think. Not really sure where this is from. No, American Free Press. This is from the American Free Press. China completed its first mission to the moon and back early Saturday with the successful re-entry and landing of an unmanned probe. That, according to state media from China, in the latest step forward for Beijing's ambitious space program. I apologize for that. All right, we can't take a break. We're going away. We're going to move. All right, here we go. We'll be right back. This is The Source, WOC. How many stories today, Robin?
22.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. One more day of stumping before Election Day. In the Kentucky Senate race,
this bluegrass battle has been nasty, playing out on an endless loop of campaign ads.
I think it's wrong.
Both sides?
Both sides.
Republican Senator Mitch McConnell and his Democratic challenger Allison Grimes are flying around this state today. In addition to winning here, McConnell needs Republicans to flip 6 seats to become Senate Majority Leader.
Fox Radio's Jared Alpern. Investigators say a braking device deployed too soon before last week's test rocket explosion over the Mojave Desert, but they say that doesn't completely explain the disaster. Jimmy Johnson wins NASCAR's Texas 500. Jeff Gordon spun out after contact with Brad Keselowski, which led to a brawl. Keselowski saying,
"The only way for a guy like me to break through is to drive the way I've drove over the last 4 or 5 years."
Johnson edged Kevin Harvick by a half second. Keselowski was third. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Looking for a Medicare Part D plan? Join Express Scripts Medicare. You'll get personalized service from a dedicated team to help you save money and protect your health.
Express Scripts Medicare advisors like me can help you save money on your prescriptions.
As an Express Scripts pharmacist, I'm here to answer questions about your medications anytime, even in the middle of the night.
Get the quality and service excellence you deserve in a Medicare plan. Call an Express Scripts Medicare advisor today. That way you'll be ready when enrollment begins on October 15th.
Call Express Scripts Medicare at 1-800-817-4535. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
That says so right here in this letter.
George, I read that